This is Philip, and this is his neglected bike. And in today's episode of Sad to Rad, episode 8, we're bringing this bike back to life by restoring it, repairing it, and upgrading it. And Phil is going to be blown away. But first, I asked him some questions about his bike. All right, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Philip. I live here in Bentonville, and I have a media company helping small businesses with marketing.
So what is this bike and how long have you had it?
This bike is my 2021 Giant Trance 27.5, and I have had it since April of 2022.
How much maintenance have you done with this bike?
Almost nothing. I've changed the pedals and the grips, and that's about it.
What? You haven't done any maintenance on that thing?
Yeah, I mean, between getting married this year and starting a business, I'm just really busy and I don't have the time, and I also don't know how to work on the bike, so until I can take the time to teach myself how to work on it, I just haven't done it.
I think Phil's story is pretty common these days. Someone who picked up a bike during the pandemic mountain bike craze, liked the sport, continues to ride a lot, but just can't get around to maintaining the bike either because they're busy or they don't know how. The funny thing is, in this episode 8 of Sad to Rad, this is the third Giant and the second Giant Trance that I've had on this series. So these bikes must either be super popular or one of the most common brands in bike shops. So today, let's show Phil's bike some love, get it cleaned, inspect it, and see what all needs to be done. Wow, I thought it was difficult to clean Santa Cruz's, but I could not get to this spot with my cleaning brush, even with the wheel off. But I'm gonna be removing a lot of parts here and servicing a whole bunch of stuff, so I'll get to that later, but I asked Phil about his bike. What is wrong with your bike?
The bike does have a few issues. For one, my dropper post acts up. I can let go of that lever and my dropper just does what it wants. It's kind of creaky. I've got a big plug in the tire. It shifts weird. It's got a few issues.
Hey, what about that bent brake lever though?
That bent brake lever, that happened in the first week of getting the bike.
What? You've had it for like that for 2 years?
Yeah.
Oh man, that thing is bent down so much. I'm gonna have to fix that, dude.
All right.
So wow, according to Phil, there's a whole bunch of problems here, and I'm a little crunched on time, so instead of taking apart stuff, cleaning it all up like the dropper post, I'm just gonna start replacing stuff. So let's start hacking parts off this bike and get this thing all repaired. A lot of people don't know this because I only showed it briefly, but Phil was my cameraman for High-Low Season 2 and played a big part in bringing that season to life. So we've ridden together a decent amount, and he lives super close to me, and I've worked on his bike before. When you'd shift, the derailleur wouldn't move at all until you've shifted down 4 times. So I figured that was the cable and housing. But man, I couldn't be happier that I finally bit the bullet and bought bulk shifter cables and housing. Now if only I could find bulk hydraulic lines. The derailleur hanger was a little bit bent, but not anything like that old Bronson in the last video. I also went with the new chain as well. The old one wasn't worn out, but it did have some rust, and I'm not sure if that was surface rust, but either way, these Dior chains are pretty cheap. As Phil and I rode together during the High-Low series, I noticed some things here and there about his bike. It became an inside joke about how this brake lever was bent down. I bought this replacement lever blade a few months ago, then I just decided I'd wait and make a Sad to Rad with this bike. The lever blade replacement went so well that I went to the other side, removed that lever blade, cleaned and lubed it, and it made the brakes feel night and day better. But thinking about what Phil said about not knowing how to work on his bike, it makes me wonder. I want to know who watching this video knows how to work on their bike. Is there anyone watching my videos that don't know how to work on their bike? I've never taken a class on being a bike mechanic. I'd say I got my education from YouTube University. There's so many how-to videos out there for basically every task for working on bikes. I don't feel like I have a lot of money invested into specialty tools, but I have been slowly collecting those tools for a few years now. And I really think you can do a lot with just a set of Allen wrenches though. I took a fork in to get a lower service only once in my life. It was $50 for labor. I supplied the service kit, but I just know I could have done it myself in the time it took to drive there and back. So while $50 plus the kit was a decent price, I suppose, I just have a hard time paying that. Well, for the amount of work that was done and just looking at the bike, it looks like I've done nothing. And excuse my voice, my kids got me a little sick. Maybe I'm stressed out or something because I'm juggling this build with another build before I go to my first ever lift access bike park next week and comment guesses on where I'm going. But now it's time for the upgrades. And upgrades are personal. It really depends on what the person rides and what they like. So I asked Phil exactly that.
So what kind of riding do you like to do?
I really enjoy jumping and flow trails and have been getting better at tech. I even rode my first enduro on this bike this year. It was the Arkansas Enduro Series for Bella Vista.
So what do you want this Giant to do better?
I'd really like it to feel more stable on fast descents on technical trails.
Oh man, I got a lot of upgrades here. In last video, I said that I didn't have a 27.5 fork, but I was in my attic and I totally forgot this Pike Ultimate is a 27.5, and this is going to be a huge upgrade over the stock RockShox 35. Then Phil is always puncturing his tires. These Maxxis EXO tires are super thin, and once you advance your skills and start going faster, you need to get a thicker tire so you're not getting punctures all the time. And it's funny, I actually gave Phil a rear tire, and this rear tire is not the same one that I gave him, so he's just going through rear tires just left and right. So I got him some Continentals with enduro casings, and that should really help with the enduro racing that he likes to do. Should have a ton of grip and be reliable just charging through rock gardens without worrying about getting a puncture. Then I reached out to a few brands to tell them about the Sad to Ride episode, and 2 brands hopped on board. First was Hunt wheels. And I always say that upgrading your wheels is the best way to get performance, and these Hunt Enduro wides were super awesome in the high-low series and should be stronger and lighter than the stock wheels for just about $500. Then One Up threw in some aluminum bars, and these are flexi and compliant so you don't feel all the vibrations in your hands. Then finally, I know Phil had some purple accents on there, but I have a whole bunch of orange accents that will really level up this bike and make it look like an entirely new bike, so let's get to work. I sound like a crazy person that I forgot about this Pike Ultimate fork. I didn't forget that I had it, I forgot that it was a 27.5 fork. I used this as my practice fork when I made the video burnishing and resizing bushings. So this is freshly serviced and should be an amazing upgrade over the stock fork. I'm pretty excited that I get to install the exact cockpit that I use for Phil. One-up bars, ergon grips, and I love this combo to avoid arm pump. And speaking of arm pump, installing thick boy enduro tires can be quite the workout. People like to brag that they can remove and install tires without tire levers, but I'd like to see them try that with an enduro or downhill tire. For me, I use the Cush Core B-Dropper tire lever, and that's been a godsend when it comes to installing tires. I'll have a link in the description. I highly recommend that tire lever. Despite putting way more work into this bike than I wanted to, everything was going pretty smoothly. Well, up until I took off the cassette and realized it was micro spline. I ordered the Hunt wheels with an HG driver, figuring that an entry-level bike wouldn't have micro spline. Lucky for him, I have a SRAM NX 12-speed cassette that will fit and will look cool, kind of match the blacked out bike look. Off camera, I did end up bleeding the brakes and the fluid was dark and the pistons were seized in the caliper on one side. I didn't get to film that because I probably had 12 hours into this build at this point and I was running out of time. It was time to wrap up this build and meet Phil in the morning. All right, man, we're here. Today's the big day. This is the most work I've ever done on a Sad to Ride bike, and I'm really proud of this one. But I mean, there was a lot to do on that bike and a lot to replace. It's almost a brand new bike. I mean, everything has been inspected, repaired, and a lot has been replaced. So you ready to see it?
I'm excited, yeah, definitely
All right.
ready to see it.
Go ahead and turn around.
All right. Whoa, man, it looks totally different.
So what do you notice that's different?
Dude, that is sweet. I love the orange and the way you tied it in on the rotors, the pedals and the grips, even the valve stems.
I think the tires even match. That's a little bit of like a marigold orange, right?
Yeah, that's really nice, man. You did a great job. Thank you so much.
All right, well, where should we ride it first?
Let's start at the skills park.
All right, well, I'm not gonna tell you about what I've done. I'm gonna kind of get your reaction to see if you can see if there's anything different.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, let's go ride.
Let's go.
You notice anything different so far? Like, does it feel any different?
Yeah, so far it's shifting really smooth and it's a lot quieter when pedaling.
Well, it's funny. I gave you a new chain because it was like rusted, and then your derailleur was still like messed up where it didn't want to downshift. So I just threw on a new derailleur too.
Thanks.
So you got everything new drivetrain wise except the cranks and the chainring.
Okay, feels great so far.
Well, we're at these new jumps. Did you build these?
I helped finish them up yesterday, actually.
All right, well, let's ride these new jumps. See how they
let's do
go.
it.
All right, lead the way. New jump line here in Bentonville. Whoa, you can go deep. Nice. Is that jumping better?
Yeah, feeling really good.
All right, let's try some drops. Oh, to the big one, here we go. Oh, he went deep. Yeah. Oh, you almost killed me. All right, we're at our next spot. We're getting ready to ride some chunk. And do you notice anything else different with your bike?
Yeah, so far the grip on the pedals has been really sweet. I don't feel like I'm at risk of losing a pedal like I was before. And the dropper has been acting really nice. It's so smooth.
Oh, those one-up droppers are the best. Well, also, speaking of one-up, I gave you the new bars here, and all I had was a 35 millimeter long stem, so it's a little shorter than what you're used to. So I left the bars at 800 wide. Normally I don't leave bars at 800 wide, that's really wide, but the shorter stem should change like a lot of how it feels. So it might throw off your timing just a little bit.
Okay,
All right, you ready to hit this chunk trail?
I'm ready.
All right, I'm gonna send you into it.
Let's go.
One more thing before you drop in. Your rotors are bigger too, so you're gonna have way more braking power.
Okay,
All right, so be careful, have fun.
will do.
What happened, dude? I told you to take it easy. What'd you do? What made you fall?
I think I went a little too deep on this drop here.
You good?
Yeah,
Is the bike good?
I think so.
All right, let's wrap it up before someone gets hurt. All right, well, that did not go according to plan. I looked over the bike and everything looks pretty good. The fork leg is scratched a little bit, but you sure you're good?
Yeah, man, I'm good. The traction is insane on these tires compared to my old Maxxis tires, and I think that might be what gave me the confidence to send that drop a little too deep.
Do me a favor. About a year from now, service it either yourself or take it into a shop, because these mountain bikes, I wish you could just have a mountain bike and it'll just last forever, but they do take a bit of work with servicing.
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to start learning how to work on my bike.
All right, man. Good luck.
Thanks, dude.